The same thing that we've been using for 4 fucking years to fight Nazis, we can use to fight the fascists in government.
An incredible scene in the nation's capital this week when a crowd of residents drove away about a dozen ICE agents who were stationed at the Columbia Heights Metro Station. It is just one of the many scenes that show that Americans are not on board with Donald Trump's immigration crackdowns.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. For all the attention being paid to the National Guard deployment to Washington, D.C., and trust me, we will stay on top of that here, the greater threat right now is ICE. This is an organization with no institutional memory, as there is in the military, of loyalty to the Constitution, and its leadership ranks are populated by people who appear to see their primary duty as satisfying the whims of the president, again, unlike the military. That's not to say the military is immune from these risks, especially with someone like Pete Hegseth at the helm and the purges now underway to root out those deemed not loyal enough to the president. But that is a process. We are calling attention to it. We are doing what we can to slow it. But at ICE, that process is over. It's an extremist organization populated by agents so ashamed of what they're doing that they hide their faces. ICE exists not to defend us or the Constitution, but to serve as Donald Trump's personal internal police force. And ICE now has a budget greater than that of the United States Marine Corps. But we are not powerless. You've heard me say, you've heard a lot of people say that courage is contagious. So is cowardice. These ICE agents are cowards, ashamed to show their faces. And that video I just rolled, and hundreds of others like it, prove that we can stop them if we stand up, if we keep our cell phone cameras rolling, so long as we never give in to the temptation to swing a fist or throw a rock. We have the moral high ground, and America is beginning to realize it. Last week, I shared part 1 of my conversation with Kris Goldsmith, Army vet turned Nazi hunter, about the federal takeover of Washington, D.C. Here's part 2, where we talk about the role of ICE and how it is attracting, by design, some of the worst people our society has ever produced. Here's me and Kris.
I'd love your perspective on how ICE, the ultimate fascist police force that we've probably ever seen in this country, factors into all of this. Mm-hmm. Because it's something that, and this is a bit of a mea culpa, it's something that we didn't fully anticipate or appreciate in all of the wargaming that you and I did with a lot of help from others in the run up to the election. We anticipated the deployment of the National Guard units. We thought that the militias might be deputized and the extremists would be pardoned and then brought back into the fold. But now they are deputizing the extremists. Mm-hmm. They are creating an extremist organization, I am sure, with a ton of overlap. I bet the Venn diagrams between like former Oath Keepers and Proud Boys and ICE recruits is pretty tight. They don't really need the Oath Keepers as an integral organization. They just fold them into ICE. And man, I wish I had called that one, but I never imagined a police force, a fascist police force in this country with a budget bigger than the U.S. Marine Corps in this short of a time period.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, critics of mine have come at me and been like, why are you so focused on these swastika flying neo-Nazis when they're just little groups, when we have ICE going through people's neighborhoods? Who the fuck do you think is joining ICE right now?
Yeah.
Right? Like who you have to start left of boom, right? It was Stanley McChrystal who uses that in the documentary Against All Enemies. Yeah. You have to go left of boom. You have to get them before they're recruited into the fascist police force. Going back to Timothy Snyder and Ruth Ben-Ghiat, they write about the importance of the black shirts and the brown shirts. Before Hitler had the SS, he had the brown shirts. He had the street thugs who had plausible deniability, saying like, oh, I don't control them. They're just defending, as Putin did in Ukraine with the invasion of Crimea. He's like, I'm not attached to the little green men. They're out there just defending their own neighborhoods. they're racist. I have nothing to do with them, right? We're seeing the same thing happen right now in the United States. We are watching DHS, Homeland Security, fucking ICE agents jumping out of the back of U-Hauls. I just published a fucking instruction manual on how to fight the the fascists who jump out of U-Hauls on 4th of July this year. And now ICE is doing exactly the same thing. So here's the good news about this. Everything that Task Force Butler and Veterans Fighting Fascism built to fight the Nazis, the swastika flying Nazis, can be used to fight the fascists when they're in government. We have the community response guide. The community response guide on taskforcebutler.org is for people who've never been an activist before, but they want to hold ICE responsible, or the Nazis who fly swastikas, or the Nazis who are now ICE. You go to the community response guide, you build your anti-fascist book club as instructed on Veterans Fighting Fascism's website. You learn how to document criminal activity, report it to folks who can use it, report it to your local police who do have jurisdiction over federal agents who come in and violate your civil rights. Even if you don't trust your local police, when you start putting evidence of criminality out in the open and you've identified these folks, or you've at least gathered evidence of what their uniforms look like, investigators can take that, and like we did with the January 6th defendants, we can collectively, civilians, write up reports and hold these people accountable.
Hey, it's Ken Harbaugh. Quick break to say thank you to everyone who's been following and supporting this show and this channel. None of it happens without you. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my Substack page, I'd really appreciate the follow. It's a great way to make sure you never miss an episode. It's free to sign up. And if you're able to pitch in a few bucks, every dollar goes back into the show. Just search for The Ken Harbaugh Show on Substack or click the link below. Thanks.
For folks who are already experienced activists, who've already got their crew, who've been like going out with Indivisible or the 50-51 movement for months now, and they feel pretty confident in the group that they're with, use our Street Teams guide, again, on taskforcebutler.org. That is for more advanced anti-fascists who are already physically active in the streets. That gives you a more advanced guide on how to deal with things like U-Haul trucks. Nothing that we recommend is against the law. It is fully within your First Amendment rights to film police, whether they are local police or federal agents. Just, follow lawful orders if you get them, but never turn the fucking cameras off. And again, this was all made to fight the swastika flying neo-Nazis who are now like ICE's most eager recruits. Like the same thing that we've been using for 4 fucking years to fight Nazis, we can use to fight the fascists in government.
This is over the horizon. I hate to indulge Pollyannish vision of a future in which this is all behind us. But should we start thinking now about accountability? Should we begin collecting the data on these people who are violating our rights daily, not just to prevent the abuses in the moment, but to send the signal that 10 years from now, and I hate to make this comparison, but, as has been done in truth and reconciliation commissions around the world, as was done, and this is the real tough comparison with like SS officers after World War II, there was an attempt at accountability, but it requires the documentation to be able to pursue it.
Yeah. And that's why I am always, one of the many reasons that I am always telling people to like defend your local library. Your librarians, when they have like a degree, they're professional librarians. Those people are masters of data and research. If you build an anti-fascist book club and you just interact with your local librarian who has a degree in these things, in library science, they can help you do things like maintain your data and keep records, to perform the research on federal laws in history so that you can look up things like these truth and reconciliation programs, internationally and throughout history. there will be a reckoning. I mean, as much as Donald Trump ran on retribution, we have to run on justice. Whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or anybody who loves and respects democracy, inclusion, and the Constitution, we have to start talking about how we're going to hold these people accountable. Because whether you're a fascist committing violence by hitting someone with a baton and doing it under color of law, or, you're a gun-toting, swastika-flying neo-Nazi on the street who's intimidating people because of the color of their skin, when we get the power back, we have to provide disincentives towards ever allowing people to do that again. We should, if the laws are not strict enough, if the statute of limitations is too narrow, the Democrats or whoever becomes the next center of power needs to do everything that they can to change the rules, to take away power from these people and to punish them so that all of us, all Americans are guaranteed the justice that our Constitution, that our country, that our American ethos is supposed to support.
I am waiting for more Democrats to begin running on that accountability agenda. Kris, we got to leave it there. Thanks as always. We'll put links down below in the show notes. Let's check in again soon.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.